Good evening and welcome to the Voices of the Vic podcast with myself this evening, Joe Thomas, and I'm joined by Cam Smart. We are here to go over the squad, Watford FC squad, and discuss who we think will be here for next season, potentially leaving over the summer, and where people might be moving on to should they be leaving. It should be a pretty fun pod. As you can see from the graphic, Cam's put a lot of hard work into the pod this evening. So, hopefully it'll be a fun one. Cam, first of all, how are you, mate? Obviously, it's been a little while since we've done a pod together, and a pod like this should be a good one. But how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, and we're the pairing that usually rake in all of the views on this podcast. So I'm expecting a big turnout for this one when it does get released. As you said, I put in a bit of effort. I think you oversold it a bit because it took me about maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes to put this together. I thought it would take longer than that, to be honest, but here we are. Yeah, so as you can see, there's this big menacing thing on the screen to the right of me, and we're going to try and work our way through it. So I've got every single Watford player on there, every single current Watford player, including the ones that are out on loan, and there's some academy guys in there as well. So we're going to work our way through that. I'm going to have to manage being on sort of two different screens here, so that's why we're not live with this one, because we don't quite know how it's going to work yet. But to answer your question, Joe, I'm all good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm all good, thanks, mate. I'm all good. Yeah, looking forward to this one. I think I did this one last season as well. So, and for all you guys that will be listening and not viewing on YouTube, we do have. So, as I said, each player, the categories are build around the team, probably going to be sold, keep, squad player, loan, or sell. So we'll pop each player into a category, so you'll be able to kind of hear where each player is going to be going. For all the Leeds fans out there that might be listening that usually bump up the viewing figures, do please give it a watch. We might mention a few Leeds players come the end that might be coming in.
or Chesterfield.
Or Chesterfield,
maybe I'll suggest Will Grigg for our striker signing.
We'll go straight in then, Cam. Obviously, as I can see, you've done it in squad number order. We will go with Daniel Bachmann at the start.
Yeah.
I will ask you, where do you think he's going to be going?
I think this one's going to be unanimous. So I'm going to put him in sell.
Yeah, I think sell as well.
Yeah, I think it's exactly the right time to move on from Daniel Bachmann.
Do we have an idea where you think he might go to? Do you think he'll stay in England, or do you think he'll move on?
You suggested Wrexham, didn't you? And to be honest, I think that's a perfect shout, really. But other than that, I could maybe see him going abroad, maybe to Austria, and see if he can break into the national team there. I don't really know, though. It's going to be interesting. First of all, it's going to be interesting to see who actually wants to pay for him, because it's being reported that we want around 2 million for him. So, it's certainly going to be interesting to see if we can flog him.
Yeah, it's it's a little bit more than it's a lot less than what we was rumoured to have been selling him for a few years back, obviously. Yeah. But take anything you can from him, I guess. Right, next on the list, Jeremy Ngakia.
That's right, number 2, Jeremy. I think I would put him in squad player here. Now, I think he's had his best season in a Watford shirt, in the one just gone. I think he's largely been quite good. However, I think there's a lot that his game's sort of lacking at the moment. He's not really got the pace, I feel, that you need to be a sort of solid right back at this level. And he does get caught out sometimes, and he can also be pretty blunt going forward. So, I think Jeremy, I'm happy to have him as a squad player. You've got to factor in that he's going to get injured, and I'd like to see maybe someone else ahead of him at right back.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to be a squad player this year. yeah, nothing really else to add to that. I think you're spot on with what you said. Next on the list, we have got Francesco Serialta.
Yeah, I'd put him in sell personally. I think he's been a good servant to the club, but he's sort of gone backwards every year since that first season. So me personally, I think it's time to move on from Fran, but especially with the options we've got there. We've got Matty Pollock, Kevin Keben, potentially James Abankwa are all going to be our right-footed centre-back options. I just don't see a place for Fran.
Yeah, I'm probably in agreement with you. I think he's at his best. I think he's had his best kind of times at Watford. He was obviously great in that season when we had at the time the joint best defensive record in the Championship. But yeah, obviously he got loaned out, didn't he, that season after, and he seems to only be a use for Watford when we're in the Championship. So yeah, a shame really, but yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. So
I think what happened with Fran really is he was great when he was in sort of the Championship, when it was a league full of target men, and that's sort of his forte. He can deal with target men pretty easily, but now it's become a game of how can we get in behind you and how can we sort of play in front of you rather than just hanging directly on the centre back. So I don't think Fran is very well equipped to deal with that. And I think it definitely shows. Now, don't get me wrong; he's had some good games in recent years, but I just don't think he's what we need at the moment.
No. I mean, I agree. Next, we have Kevin Keben.
Yep, Kevin Keben spent the entire first season of his Watford career on the sidelines. Really, he very impressive when he played. I'll give him that, and I think actually, if we can keep him fit, he's going to be a little bit more than a squad player for us this season. So I would personally put him in keep. But I could see the argument for putting him in squad player as well.
I'm in agreement with you. Yeah, keep. I think. I do hope we get to see more of him this season because, like you say, when he has played, he's looked quite comfortable on the ball. He carries it well, doesn't he? Likes to go forward with the ball. So keep definitely for me.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested. Sorry to cut you off there. I'm going to be interested to see what really happens at centre back this season because we know nothing about the manager. We don't know if he's going to be 3 at the back, 4 at the back. We don't know anything. But last season, I thought the few games we saw of Abankwa and Keben together were the best our defence has looked, really. And that's not a slight on Pollock. I think he had a fantastic season, but when you've got that pace back there, it just adds so much to you. So, yeah, I'm going to be interested to see, if Keben can maybe, slot in instead of Matty Pollock, or if he's going to be next to Matty Pollock. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens there, and if we sign anyone there as well. I'm really keen to see.
Yeah, I agree. I think when the Banker and Keben played together, they were great. Like you say, it's tough because Pollock did have a good season, but he just brings a different dimension to the centre back dynamic than what those two bring. They're all very different players. I think they've all got different qualities, and there's argument for them all to play. Really, it'd be interesting to see. Do you reckon there could be an argument that maybe he'll go 3-5-2 potentially and play those three as centre backs and maybe get someone maybe that he wants maybe as a backup potentially and go with those three, or do you think he'll stick with the 4 at the back?
I think it's something that he has done, Pezzolano. I think he's toyed with a back 3 before. What I want to see is, are we going to bring in a left-footed centre back? Because obviously we didn't have one for years, and then Wes Hoot comes along. And he was fantastic. And then we brought in Tikvich, Almeida, and Ogbonna, all left-footed centre backs. And well, we got it completely wrong with all 3 of those. So I'm going to be really, really hoping that we do sign a left-footed centre back, and it will just give us that extra bit of balance back there, I think.
Yeah. Wesley Hoot coming back, maybe? No?
I wouldn't be against it, but again, it all just depends how the manager plays, really. You sort of got the feeling that when we moved to a back three at the end of last season, it didn't really work too well for Wes. And yet whenever we played a four, he was fantastic. So you'd have to see sort of where we end up. I do think Wes and Pollock have a lot of similarities in that, you know, they're great with the ball, but they sort of struggle when you try and get at them, and they can't really deal with what's in behind them. So
yeah,
I'm keen to see how Pezzolano is going to use Pollock this season.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see who that. Oh, there's Porteous next, isn't
That
it?
is Porteous. Yeah, sorry.
Crikey, we've not seen. It's been so long since I've seen him. I'm just going to go straight into this one. Not because I don't like him, because I don't think he's done well at the club. I've actually quite enjoyed him. He's quite a robust, and you know what you're going to get with Porteous. But I would put him in the sell category myself. I think his time really at Watford's done. However, there is a chance, and you might agree here, that with a new manager, he might give him pre-season and see what he can do, and he could also be a squad player for next season.
Yeah, look, I could see both sides. I think he's in a similar boat to Sierralta, where there's a lot of competition there. So we don't really need Ryan Porteous this season. That said, I think the upside of having him is way better than the upside of Sierralta. You know, when Porteous has a good game, he has a very good game, and you know he can win you the points on his own. But the problem is when he's not having a good game, he's probably the biggest danger to our own defense. So it's that inconsistency. You know, it doesn't really get you anywhere. So for that reason, I think I'd put him in sell, and I think that's what the club are sort of gearing towards as well.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, we've just spoken a bit about Pollock, so I don't really need to sort of say too much, but I would probably, based on what we've discussed, I'd say put him as a squad player next season.
I don't know about squad player. I thought for Pollock, it would be a debate for most people about building the team around him or keeping him. He's obviously he's a popular one, is Matty Pollock, and I can see why. You know, he's got all the qualities, but for me, he blows hot and cold a little bit. He's a bit inconsistent. He can be caught out, so I don't think he's someone worth building the team around. But I think he's maybe too good to be a squad player. So again, it depends sort of what the manager wants, really. But I think he can be and keep, and he'll be a valuable player for us next season. But it's whatever you reckon, squad player or keep.
I'll go keep. Yeah, I think you're probably right. You know, I do really like him. I do like everything about him. He's passionate. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and you know, we need people like that are more than a squad player. And I think he brings a lot to the changing room as well, from what I've heard. So yeah, keep. Tom Ince. We joked about this one before.
We did, yeah. I don't think we're going to be putting him in the top tier.
We're not going to be building the team around him.
No. I mean, I wouldn't put it past us.
I'm not like full on sell, but I'm probably going to say probably going to be sold.
I'm the other way around. I think he absolutely should be sold, but I don't think he will be. My own opinion is that he's just nowhere near what we need at the moment. He offers us nothing when he's got the ball at his feet, and he can't really run much without it. So for all that he tries, and for all that he scored a good goal away at Man City, and for all that he played very, very well against Luton at home as well, I would definitely be looking to part ways with him now. I think he's been a bit of a waste of a Watford shirt for the last couple of seasons, and he's not one that's going to live too long in the memory for me. So I'm going to go sell, but I could see the argument for putting him in squad player as well.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I think you know what? I do think the time has come where we do need to sell him. I do think, the club is, unfortunately, I do think that nothing against the effort and the work rate of him towards the end of last season. I do think at times in a couple of them games he played, he was actually fantastic. Excuse me. But I do think that we do need to look at better players. So, yeah, sell.
Yeah, and next up we've got number 8, Georgie Chapatadze. I think this one's going to be a little bit tougher. I'm looking at those top 2 categories, and I'm not quite sure where I'd put him, to be honest.
Based on what we've kind of been told in the last 48 hours with everything at Watford and Gino Pozzo and selling Udinese, and I do still take things with a pinch of salt at the moment. Obviously, it remains to be seen whether Watford is going to be his main focus when he's sold Udinese. But the word that's coming out that he wants to keep Georgie, Imran, and Quadro. So based on that, for me, when it comes to those 3 players in particular, I would put all those into the build around the team category, because I think that based on what we've heard, that they're all going to be here come the start of next season. So you've got to build a team around those 3 players, because they are 3 players that are guaranteed starters for me next season.
They are, yeah, and if they do all stay, they're all going in that top category. But and to be fair, everything that's been said in the last sort of week, it's encouraging me that there is a chance that these guys might stay. Whereas a few weeks ago, I was thinking, well, Georgie's gone, Loser's gone, we might even lose Barr as well. So there was that. There is a bit more hope that we might keep them now, but. With that said, I do think it's all sales tactics. I think they're trying to drive the price up by, making it seem like we're not interested in selling him. I do think Georgie's going to be a player with a lot of interest. And to be honest, there's a question over how much he'd actually want to stay at a championship club. I think he's definitely earned the right to play higher up. So, yeah, for that reason, I do think he's probably going to be sold. But I'm happy to compromise here, because if he does stay, you build the team around him. But I think there's very little chance we do keep hold of him.
Well, it's interesting because I've read today that because Leeds was the club that was almost certain to be bidding for. Leeds was almost certain to be the club. That was so unintentional.
I thought you did that on purpose.
So unintentional. That they were the team that was most interested in Georgie, and a lot of people, or a couple of people that I know that are Leeds fans, have said to me that they heard that they were rumoured to be signing him in January. Obviously, that didn't come to anything. But I've read today that they are also interested in Gustavo Harmer at Sheffield United. So if they get him, he'll probably, because he plays in that role that Georgie plays, doesn't he? So I don't think they'll sign. I don't think they'll sign both. So if Leeds do get him, then Georgie's obviously going to have to go to someone else. Obviously, we know that Cunha's left Wolves and signed for
Wolves were linked with him in January.
So Wolves are a shout also. I think it's going to be very interesting. It's definitely going to be one to watch. And like you say, I mean, they could just be trying to drive the price up of him by saying that, there's no way he could be sold. So, but yeah, if I'm looking at a category, out of all of them, I'd probably put him in the probably going to be sold one.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with that. There we are. So that brings us on to a man who I've certainly not forgotten about. Number 9, Mileta Rajovic. What do you reckon?
We've got to build the team around him, haven't we?
I'm going to end this podcast now, and see you all next week.
Let's be honest. I mean, if the right offer comes in, he's being sold. I think I don't from everything that obviously give us that glorious moment in that photo that he's with there.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that was a great away day.
That was a great away day to start the season. Yeah, but yeah, just straight in sell. I think there's nothing really to say on that.
Yeah, the right offer in my eyes is £0 or above. I would snap your hand off for that, and let's shake his hand. Thanks for scoring a few tap-ins. See you later.
Loser, as I said, I mean, I don't think he is going to be sold personally. I mean, just going based on what I've seen of where he's obviously been on holiday, isn't he, with a lot of the Watford players.
Yeah, he's out there with Aaron and Ngakia.
And Tom Delibashira as well.
I didn't know he's there.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot of them have gone away together. So
yeah, they're in Mykonos, aren't they?
Yeah, living it up. So yeah, you keep living it up, lads, and get back here all refreshed, ready for the start of next season.
And I'll see you out there, lads, because I'm off to Greece next week.
Well, you're going to Mykonos?
Not Mykonos, no. I know it's a big place. I'm off to Athens, but I'm sure we'll bump into each other.
You kept that quiet, didn't you? Were you going with your girlfriend?
No, uni mates. It's a little lad's holiday.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that'd be good, mate. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, loser. You'll probably agree. You got to build the team around him, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got to, and I've got the same worry that I do with Chak, that I think he could be sold, but loser, he seems a lot more invested in Watford than Chapatadze is. So I think there's more chance that he stays, and obviously with all the comments around the club, that's the chance of that has been increased. So yeah, I think he could stay, and I think he's definitely someone you build the team around.
Yeah, and even this next man, I think, can go next to him. I think you've got to build a team around Rocco Vata.
Absolutely, and I think that might be controversial to some people, but I'd have him up there. I think he's definitely in our top 3 most talented players. He obviously blew hot and cold in his first season, but with another pre-season under his belt, with a lot more experience behind him, and hopefully a more functional team around him, he's going to be a serious player. And I think this is going to be the year that he really sort of catches the eye, in the way that João Pedro did in that second year in the Championship, and Asprilla did in his second season with us. And who else have we had? We've had Richarlison, and of course Chapatadze in his second season. I think in the same way that those guys shone, Rocco Vata is going to really come into it this season, and he's going to be, one of our key players.
Yeah, I agree.
The same can't be said for the next man on the list, number 13.
That's forgive me because I've not seen it for so long. That's João Ferreira, isn't it?
That is João Ferreira. Yeah. Obviously, not many people probably realise he was still on our books. I mean, I didn't until I saw news break today that he's on his way back to Watford, because is it Benfica that he's at the moment, or
Braga?
Braga. They're not going to be activating the buy option, so he's on his way back to Watford until we ship him out on loan. Maybe a little parting gift for Udinese. We can send him back to them. But yeah, João Ferreira definitely going in sell for me. I don't think there's any debate to be had.
No. Did you see how much they were asking for him though?
I think it was around 3.5-4 million.
Yeah, 3.5 million euros. Like, I mean, come on, for a guy that's
we ain't gonna get
average.
That's like around what we paid for him as well,
Yeah, they're very optimistic there. I mean, they
Yeah,
don't like losing money, I get, but I mean that's just taking the biscuit a little bit. I think.
he didn't end up being one of our better signings, put it that way.
No, I agree. Next on the list, he's another one that goes next to Rocco Vata for me.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah,
See,
I absolutely love this guy when he's on the ball. I think he's so positive. When it comes to interceptions, he's one of the best players I've seen at the club at picking up the ball. He's great at his passing ability is great. I think his all-round forward play is just brilliant. And yeah, I mean him and Loser need to be starting together in midfield next season. I think they're going to cause many problems towards other teams next year.
yeah, and for podcast listeners, that is number 14, Pierre
Oh
Duomo.
yeah, sorry.
Here. He, for me, I thought a lot of people would expect to see us put him in maybe squad player because he didn't play too much. I can imagine there's some people out there that will put him in loan as well, but me personally, I was going to say keep because I think he is going to be one of our better players next season. He's I think the one criticism I had of Tom Cleverley is he sort of put a handbrake on some of these young players, and I know he was doing that because he had the future in mind. He doesn't want to overwork these young players. He wants to sort of ease them in, and I feel like as a result of that, we didn't see the best of Pierre Duomo. But when he did play, I thought he was fantastic, and he looks like the complete package, really. So, yeah, I don't think I'd quite put him in build the team around, especially with Cipriano coming in as well. There's going to be some good competition there. So, I think the perfect place to put him is in keep.
Okay, I'll go with what you say.
Good, because I wasn't backing down on that one.
The next one, personally, as much as I'd say sell, I think this is 100% he's going out on loan again.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case, to be honest. Anything good to say about him?
No, but this is
Antonio
talking about. Yeah, we're talking about. Yeah, nothing really good to say about that. He's got great fighting ability.
Yeah, great fighter, and I'd love to see him in pre-season again. He made that a lot more entertaining, I'd say.
He did, yeah. I've got a great photo of him scrapping at Gillingham.
And you know what? He had a good first half away at Fulham in the FA Cup. I'll give him that.
I'll give it. Yeah, he did until he gave away that penalty.
Yeah, and I don't. The penalty was entirely his fault, given Kayande put him under a lot of pressure. But there's something there with Tikvich. There's definitely good ability on the ball. He looks very uncomfortable when he actually has to defend. So I don't think he has much of a future at Watford, but I can also see us keeping him on the book. So I've gone with loan as well. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Next up, we got the skipper. This one could divide some opinion, maybe.
Yeah. I'm probably just going to say he's going to be a squad player next year. I think he's going to stay. I don't think he's going to leave, but he's going to be kept in and around the squad. I think he'll provide great encouragement to the younger players and give them good advice throughout the season. I think and help them come on. So yeah, I think he'll be a good squad player to have next season, and there could be a few games where he'll start potentially as well.
Yeah, no, I kind of have to agree with that. I'm really frustrated by Musa this season, where I don't feel like he necessarily puts the most effort in on the pitch. But to be honest, as the season's got a lot tougher, I've sort of seen the value that he does bring. You hear a lot of off the pitch stories about he's kind of the one sort of spearheading the charge for Tom Cleverley to keep his job, and he's storming the boardroom demanding answers and stuff like that. And I think it shows a genuine care for what's going on. He's not just a mercenary taking his paycheck. He's actually a sort of an activist for change at the club. So I can definitely respect him for that. And another thing I noticed is when Mamadou Doumbia won his Young Player of the Season award, Moussa Sissoko was right at the back of the crowd, at the crowd of players, and Doumbia, when he got the award, he went straight over to Moussa. He walked past every single player, and he went over to Sissoko to hug him, and it kind of shows the influence that he's got. And with all these young players, it's sort of what you need, and then you factor in that he scored a lot of important goals this season as well. So I think he's worth keeping. As much as I don't really like watching him play, I definitely have him in squad player.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's worth pointing out. His contribution of goals this year was fantastic. I think he ended up the third, either second or third highest goal
Third,
scorer.
I think, yeah, he was definitely behind Bayo and Kayembe.
Oh yeah, he was one behind Kayembe. Yeah. So yeah, you know what? He's a good player to have in and around the squad. Doumbia next. I'll let you start this one off. Where do you think he should go?
It's tough because he's definitely staying. That much is clear. Do I think we can get a better striker for now? Yes, I do, and I think we will get another striker as well. But I can't help but see him playing nearly every game this season. I feel like he'll get a lot of game time. He won't be, one to build the team around just yet. I think he's maybe a year or two off that, but definitely one to put in keep for me.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Yeah, I think you've 100% got to keep him. I think there's a player there, and we've seen his ability. I think he could be a fantastic player for us.
Yeah, no, I think he's more than just a squad player. I think he is going to get those minutes that sort of allow him to make a pretty big impact.
Yeah, I agree. Right, next on the list we have that's James Morris, is it not?
That is James Morris, yeah, number 22. Obviously, we skipped out Ogbonna and Bayo on account of them being mentioned in the retained list as leaving.
Yeah. This is an interesting one. Do you know what? I'm actually going to say I think he's going to get loaned out this season.
Really? Just bear in mind as well, though, that his contract comes to an end in 2026. So it will be his last season unless we weirdly decide to renew him. So for that reason, I think we'll sell him.
You think we'll sell him?
Yeah.
I could see him going to like Charlton.
Yeah, I could see that actually, like a sort of promoted championship team.
Or I could see him going to someone like a Wickham or an Orient.
I feel like it's got Stevenage written all over it. He can go and join Dan Phillips there.
No, I think do you know what? For all the stick he's maybe got, I think he's probably better than Stevenage.
The thing is, it's really dependent on how you play for Morris because he's easily been his best for us as a left centre back. So I don't think he brings any value to any team as a left back or as sort of a centre back in a back four. I think he's got to go somewhere that's playing three at the back.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, all right, stick him in the cell then.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Now, this next one's going to be interesting, I think. Number 24, Tom Dele-Bashiru.
I'm going to say I think he's going to be a squad player next season.
I think he's going to be a squad player. I don't think we'll sell him, but coming off the back of a pretty terrible season, to be honest, what do you think we should be doing with him? Do you think we should be selling him? Do you think we should be giving him a chance to sort of get back to his best? What do you reckon?
Do you know what? I also see there could, depending on who comes in, obviously we've got Cipriano. With what, I don't know, I could arguably see if we sign another central midfielder, him going out on loan.
Yeah,
However, I don't think that's going to be beneficial to him, though. So,
no.
so there could be an argument that he could get sold.
Look, here's how we've got it so far. We've got loser, obviously Kiprianu, we've got Duomo, we've got Sissoko, and now we're on Tom Bashiru as a potential midfield. Now, for me, I'd rather have TDB playing than Sissoko, but it's not exactly a high bar. I think we should keep him as a squad player. I think if a good offer comes in, I'd be okay to sell him, but I think maybe he could have some value as sort of someone to come in when we need him to.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going with?
I think on this one, yeah.
Yeah,
I do think
okay.
on this one. I know
Well,
this one will potentially divide opinion. I think.
yeah, I think a lot of people want to see him sold after that season. I think a lot of people might also still have faith in him to bring back the form that he showed the previous season.
He's got 2 years left on his deal, isn't he? So
I think that's right. Yeah.
So he could bring in some money if he is sold potentially, but
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one to watch over the summer. That one, I think.
Well, definitely. Yeah, I do see him staying put though.
Yeah.
So next up, you've got number 25.
James Bankler.
Sort of cheated a bit here because obviously he's not our player. We obviously know there's all that disruption going on with Udinese, so who knows what's going to happen. But the rumor is he's coming back on a permanent deal. So do we think that is a good thing? Do we think we shouldn't be doing that? Do we think he'll be sort of a mainstay in the team? Or do we think he's going to be, one of our most important players?
I based on what I see there's a player there. I think that I think he's going to be more than a squad player. I think you'd probably put him into the build around the team around.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. I think if we get another season out of him, I think he's learned a lot from his first season with us, and he's going to be that bit better, that bit more composed, and I think he's going to have a fantastic season. So I'm happy to put him and build the team around.
I actually, this might be controversial, this next one, but I would actually put Caleb Wiley next to him, the next guy.
I was tempted to do that, but I don't feel like you can put a left back on that level of influence.
No, true. So
I feel
the only other place you'd put him then is a squad because you're not going to. Well, you could just put him as keep, I suppose. I mean,
that's where I was thinking he's a shoo-in, really. I mean, I was impressed with what I saw from him. I do think we need him and another left back as well.
Yeah,
he's night and day compared to some of the left backs we've had over the years, like Larucci, Lewis, Messina, Lazar, all of those. He's way better than them. So I want to see Wiley back in a Watford shirt next season.
Yeah, I agree. Next, we have Selvik.
I heard Leeds are looking for a new goalkeeper. Is the only thing that worries me.
Yeah, I did hear this. To be fair, I know we joke about it, but yeah.
Selvik for me, best goalkeeper we've had since Gomez. I mean, there's a small sample size, but I think obviously the keeper before Bachmann was Foster, who had a great couple of seasons and then really tailed off in his last two actually. And then obviously Bachmann's been terrible for 4 or 5 years now. Selvik's come in, breath of fresh air. I think he's much better than Ben Foster was, and I definitely think he's going to be one to build the team around.
Yeah, I really like him as a keeper. The only mistake I can recall him making was the one at Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Other than that, I thought he was I mean, there's an argument maybe he was a little bit at fault for one of the goals against Millwall potentially at home when we played them. I was a little bit disappointed with the keeping there. But overall, I mean, for how many games he played, the amount of clean sheets he played, how calm the defence looked with him in goal, we just look a lot more comfortable. So for that reason, I'm all for, I'm in agreement with what you said.
Yeah, and it's just that he's got everything to him, really. You know, he seems a good shot stopper. He can claim the ball. He comes out, he punches it, and he's great with the ball at his feet as well. He's really comfortable, and you just feel like he inspires that confidence in everyone around him. So, yeah, I think he's one of our most important players, and definitely got to be one you build around next season.
Yeah, and as for this guy as well, the next one on the list, Quadro Bar, not much
100%.
needs to be said about this guy. He's going to be very influential for Watford next season, and yeah, we need to build the team around him next season.
And I'm just looking at this. I'm seeing those 5 players: Bar, Selvik, Abankwah, Vata, Loser, and I'm like, that is a great little foundation there to work from. And then, you know, you factor in what else you've got. You've got Caben, Pollock, Duomo, you've got Dumbia, and you've got Wiley all coming in, and you can make a great starting 11 there. Factor in maybe if we keep Chakbatadze as well. There's so much to work with there. You just need to hope that we don't completely dismantle the squad, and just hope that we can add to it as well, because there really is some exciting stuff going on if we just look at those players individually. It's the championship teams would kill to have those players. So we're in seemingly a good position to work with, really, considering all the shit that's gone on.
I mean, that's again, you've said all those players. That's with Cipriano still to come in as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting. To be fair, I do think we have got the foundations for a really good starting 11, and we've still got other players still to mention. This next one's going to divide a lot of opinion, I think. Edo Kayembe. My personal opinion. Dragged straight into the cell. You know what? I personally think he will get used as a squad player next season. I don't think he'll go anywhere. I think he'll remain at the club.
You know, I've ever since we started planning to do this podcast, I've had one thing on my mind: where am I going to put Kayembe in this? Because I hate watching the bloke play for us. It just infuriates me. He doesn't do anything at all. But then next thing you know, the ball's in the back of the net. So, and you can throw the Rajovic argument at him, where he doesn't do anything, but he scores goals. But I think it's very different. I think when you've got a midfielder that can score goals out of nothing, it's just a really good tool to have. It can add so much to your game. And I think in sort of most of the games towards the end of last season, he was just getting shots off for fun. He was, hitting the woodwork left, right, and center, and he was desperately unlucky not to be our top scorer last season with all the close calls that he had. So I really can see the value in keeping him here as a squad player. I don't get me wrong, I'd probably be celebrating if we do sell him, but I can definitely see why you'd want to keep him. I can see what he brings, and I do think it's very dependent on what this manager's looking for. Is he sort of going to play with kind of a number 10 or a second striker? I think if he is, then Kayembe's got value. But if he's sort of playing with number 8s and a number 6, then you've got no reason to have Kayembe there. So, look, I think squad player is probably the best place for him. I think no matter what, he's going to be a useful option to have.
Yeah, Yeah, I agree. The next one I'm really split on, if I'm being honest. I think that there's a potential that he could, Ryan Andrews, this is. I think he could get sold.
You see, it would just depend what kind of money comes in. I don't see Ryan Andrews leaving Watford in the near future. I'm going to put that out there.
You think?
I think he's going to be here for the long run, and I think there's definitely upside to him that Ngakia doesn't have. Where and Andrews obviously has the pace and the physicality to play at the level where Ryan Andrews, Ngakia doesn't really have that. It's tough because it's the technical qualities that let Andrews down. Really, he can't put a cross in. That's something that really needs work. And he also, he doesn't take on his man despite all the pace that he's got. So it instantly makes him, very, very blunt going forwards. And it's just such a shame because there's definitely the skill set there for him to be that kind of play, that marauding wing back that can, hold the width of the pitch for you. And he doesn't really make up for it defensively either. He's very, very weak 1v1, and I think he leaves a lot to be desired. Now, he's very good in the air. Give him that. He seems to win a lot of headers back there, and he's also got a deadly strike on him. So I think there's enough there. There's enough potential, and he's still very young for him to still be here as a squad player. But that poses you an issue because now we've got both of the right backs as squad player. So I'm going to ask, do you think we need to sign a right back this summer?
But this is why I was thinking Andrews would get sold, because I think Andrews, with what his ambition for what he wants to do internationally, I think, he gets picked with the under-20s quite a bit, doesn't he? Not sure if they've got anything going on over the summer or if he has been picked. If he hasn't, obviously he's going to be disappointed after being included in the last few kind of squads that have gone. So this is what I'm saying, you kind of think, is he not playing enough to be picked, or has his form not been good enough? If you're going on the fact that he's not been picked enough, then he might want to leave to get proper first team football and be an out and out pick for somebody week in, week out. In which case, yes, I do think we need to sign a right back.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, I don't mind if Ngakia and Andrews do stay, but I feel like I want to see a new right back regardless. Now, that doesn't mean I think we will see one. I don't think there's any chance of us signing a right back. And, with our centre back problem as well, you could even see James Abankwah playing there quite a bit. But, yeah, we'll have to see how that one pans out.
Yeah. One to watch.
Definitely. Now, do you know who the next person on the list is?
I do. This is the young keeper, Roberts.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, currently on loan at Bristol Rovers.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's played a game for them.
It's not really worked out for him. I do feel a bit sorry for him. I think the idea was that he got a bit more experience, and it kind of hasn't really worked out like that.
Yeah, and I think this season was kind of make or break for his Watford career. It looked like he might have a route into the first team when Bachmann was injured, and this was before Selvik came in. We thought maybe we're bringing him back to play, but obviously Selvik came in. We loaned him out. He's not played a single game, and I can't imagine it's helped his development really.
No. I think the club don't want to sell him. I do think they'll maybe want to see if he can get that English football experience. I'm going to put him in the loan box because obviously we've still got the addition potentially of Nathan Baxter coming in from Bolton. So yeah, I'm putting him in the loan box.
I'm with you on that one, and I think a lot of people expect him to sort of be like our reserve keeper this season, but that's not going to do him any good. I want to see him loaned out, maybe to League Two, just somewhere that he's going to get a lot of minutes, and then who knows, Selvik might not be here. in a couple of years, and then we're looking at Miles Roberts as our number one.
Yeah, I think the club are going to want guarantees next year on him getting some game time. I don't think they're going to send him to do what he's just done at Bristol Rovers and sit on the bench.
Definitely, yeah. But obviously, you never know how things are going to pan out. I think it was a bit of a panic the way we loaned him out this time, because Bristol Rovers, they brought a keeper back from loan as well. And yeah, it ended up that he played all of the games and Roberts sat on the bench. So yeah, it's one that he's got to get right at this stage of his career. But speaking of academy players, the next three are all from the academy. You might see the photos; they didn't really sort of fit into the frame very well. So
I was going to say, all I can see is bodies, so I'm guessing here. So is the first one Navizada?
The first one's Nabizada.
It's a really interesting one, I actually think this could be one to watch, as in, I think I would put him into the squad player category.
Yeah, that's 100% where I wanted to put him as well. I think he's someone obviously got bags of potential, and it's unlucky that he hasn't played much for the first team because he had that injury, didn't he?
Yeah.
Definitely someone I want to see kept around the squad, and I do feel like he's got a part to play, really. So yeah, that's 100% where I put him. Now the next guy,
Ramirez Espan.
No, that is the torso of Xavier Messiah Edwards. Interesting when he played, because I felt like his debut was really impressive. The way he ran in behind, the way he put himself about, he was physical, and he seemed pretty inventive in the box as well. So I feel like there's a lot of talent there, and I feel like he's someone they'll be looking at for maybe first team football. But I think he's one that would really benefit from a loan, maybe down to League Two, maybe even League One if we can. But I think that's going to be the best path for him.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. And also with the next player, I think Ramirez Espan will get a loan out as well. I think maybe somewhere like a higher League One side potentially.
Yeah, I do. I want to see Ramirez Espan get a lot more minutes than he did, because in those Carabao Cup games that he played, he looked very, very comfortable. So yeah, he's definitely one for the future. He's very sort of Imran loser in the way that he plays. Do I feel like he could be important as backup to loser? Maybe, but there's a lot of competition already in that midfield. So I would loan out Ramirez Espan.
Yeah. I think.
And then the final two down there, that was an accident. I didn't mean to put Jeremy Ngaki and Daniel Bachmann in there again, but it turns out there's no delete button. So we're just going to put Bachmann in cell again just to get the message across, and that'll be that.
Well, yeah, that's the completion of the build around the team. Probably going to sell, keep, squad player loan, and sell. There is just quickly touch on Cam. There's been a lot of talk of a guy that played under Pezzolano, Ivan Cedric. Forward from Las Palmas.
Yeah, that's right. So he's got the Instagram follow from Alberto Garrido. So there could be potentially some kind of movement there. I can't remember if it said that he's out of contract and it's going to be a free transfer, or if we're paying for him. But it's nice when you get a manager and the manager's allowed to bring in a player that he wants. We should have had that really when Rob Edwards came in, and he could have brought in Kane Wilson on a free, but we missed out on that one. And Kane Wilson has just had a phenomenal season at championship level, by the way. So yeah, I'm a little bit gutted that we missed out on that one. So maybe Ivan Cedric is going to be, our solution to Kane Wilson. Maybe we will actually get the right guy this time, and maybe he'll light it up for us. it sounds like he's sort of a winger, kind of a versatile forward player, and yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on, because this one could have something to it.
Yeah, and also it was mentioned yesterday that a fan favourite is due to come back as sporting director. One Valon
Oh yeah,
Barani.
that's right. Yeah,
How
I never got to watch
about
Barney
that?
at Watford, but I know he was very, very well thought of, wasn't
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a great player. Great internationally as well. You know, he was a
he? Yeah, I
really.
remember he pocketed Neymar, didn't he?
Yeah, he was a great player for us. Got a great assist as well in the 3-0, the first 3-0 victory against Liverpool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be interesting to see him back at the club. Just quickly before we finish, Cam, are there any players? Obviously, you know we mentioned Baxter from Bolton. That's gone a bit quiet, so unsure whether that is actually happening. But is there any other players that you might like to see come in to the club over the summer? Are there any players that you've heard we might be interested in over the summer?
Yeah, not necessarily ones that I've heard, but there's options, put it that way. And I'm looking at all three relegated clubs, and I'm saying you've all got championship quality strikers, and I do think we should be throwing a bit of money at Cardiff, particularly. Have got Callum Robinson and Yusuf Salek, who both had good seasons last season, and I'd definitely take either of those. Plymouth have got Ryan Hardy, who I'd be all over, and I do think, you know, now Luton are in the league below, they can sort of become our feeder club a little bit, and we can definitely get some of their talent. So let's have. I'll say I wouldn't mind Elijah Adebayo at Watford, even though he just had a terrible season. And Luton got relegated, by the way.
Did
But
they?
yeah, they did. Yeah, I don't know how they did that, because they were in the Premier League the year before. So it turns out they actually got relegated 2 years in a row, which, I mean, that's unheard of, really. I don't know how you can cock it up like that, but fair play to them. You know, they're breaking new ground, and you know, hats off to them. I'd take Adebayo. You know, he's a good championship striker. It will never happen, but I do think those three clubs have a lot of talent on offer. So that's obviously the position we all want strengthened, don't we? There's also, before we part ways with Udinese, there's this young striker that they've got called Vacuum Bio. Now, I think we should get him, and I think we should put him in an incinerator, because I never want to see him in a Watford shirt.
Do you know? I'll tell you who I'm still. I mean, I've mentioned this so many times to you now. I'm probably sounding like a broken record. But I really wanted to see that Ika Bravo.
Yeah, I know you did. I know
I
you
was,
didn't stop mentioning it.
I was
There-
really, I was really hopeful that might come off, but yeah, obviously it's not going to.
there's still
Unfortunately,
potential for a few deals to be done before, you know, before that sale goes over the line. I mean, is Keenan Davis going to want to stay in Italy?
no, I
That's
don't
the
think he
question
is.
I'd ask. And I know he didn't have the best time here, but he would probably be my number one striker target, really.
Yeah, I think I could see that one happening.
Yeah, definitely.
What about? I mean, is there any players from Leeds that you think might come? That
Look, I heard they're trying to get rid of Elan Melier, and we need a third choice keeper when Baxter comes in. So,
well, I just wonder if there's anyone there that's probably not quite good enough for like Premier League squad.
well, there's what's that striker's name again? It's completely slipped my mind.
Patrick Bamford.
No, I wouldn't want him. Mateo Joseph, I wouldn't mind a little
Yeah,
run.
Mateo Joseph. Yeah. Oh
I'm wondering again, how available is Ali Al Hamidi going to be, because he didn't do too badly at Stoke.
no, he didn't. There is someone who I have heard is. You'll know this guy. I've forgotten his name. Is it Cody Drame?
Yes, that's right. Where
He
was he just
apparently
done?
he's just been at Hull last season,
Oh
and
yeah, that's right.
I can't remember who's his club. Is he at Leeds? Is it Leeds' his club?
Isn't it Birmingham City?
I don't know who he's at. However, I heard he's available for £1 million.
I think he's a good right back on his day. Like,
Is he someone
it's
potentially that you could see Watford?
yeah. I mean, I'll reiterate. I can't see us going for many sort of homegrown players, but if we were sort of shopping in that market, then yeah, I'd definitely be moving for Cody Drama. I think there's a lot of potential there.
Well, he had a season at Luton in the Prem, did he not?
Yeah, yeah, they were in the Prem a couple of years ago before they got relegated twice in a row. Do you remember that?
I mean, I don't remember. I mean, I remember being in the Premier League. I must have been asleep, and they must have just got relegated twice.
Yeah,
I don't recall that at all.
just
I'll have
you
to probably
blink,
go back and watch the highlights of the both seasons.
you blink, and they've gone down 2 leagues. It's honestly, it's crazy how that's happened.
Yeah, it's. I'm still in shock, to be honest. Yeah, there's no one else I can think of really off the top.
There was a left back who we have been interested in the past, who I would like to see us bring in, and that's Kenneth Powell from QPR.
Oh yeah, he's on a
I
free.
know it's not one that you're too keen on, but I think he's a talented player. He's done it at this level. He's got a lot of years left in him, and we do need another left back, despite Wiley potentially coming back. So yeah, one I'd definitely be looking at.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good water boy. No, look, you know what? He could come in and a new club, new opportunity. He could be fresh, and it could be what he needs, like a fresh move. So
Yeah,
if he comes in, I'd give it a chance. I'd probably prefer to see Zamora from Udinese if we can get one of those
yeah.
deals over the line. I think
I'd
Zamora
also
would
like
be.
to see Zamora, but I feel like if that was going to happen, it would have happened last season. I feel like something sort of broke down there, so I'm not sure we're going to see Zamora.
Well, we could do a swap deal, get Zamora and get rid of João Ferreira.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd love João Ferreira.
Exactly. Well, exactly. I think that deal would be great. It'd be great for us. But yeah, other than that, I can't. There's not anyone else I can really kind of think of that we potentially might go for. But yeah, I mean, we'll obviously. I know this will be the last pod, I think, now that we do until after kind of pre-season starts. But yeah, any kind of transfer news and anything that goes on with regards to people leaving, coming in, we'll obviously be all over the socials reporting and letting everyone know what's kind of going on. But yeah, obviously, please.
If you are listening on sort of Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, I don't even know what we're on these days. But if you're not watching the YouTube stream, basically, then we will put this tier list out on Twitter, probably Instagram as well. So yeah, if you want to see the final result, just take a look on there.
And please do also get involved in the comments as well. I know Cam and Mike did an interesting pod last week that got a lot of interest.
Got a lot of good feedback.
Yeah, we always like to see people's comments and opinions and what their thoughts are on what's been discussed. But yeah, thank you ever so much, everyone, for tuning in this evening. Yeah, have a good summer, everybody. And we will see you for the 2025-26 season at some point through July, beginning of August. So take care, everybody, and come on, you Horns.